Shalom, shalom, Mishpocha Bayit Yesharel. Thank you for joining us for another exciting topical study as we go continually. This is the third part as we go continually into this topic of the following the tent of witness and the ark traveling around. And we are now the Bayit Kadol. We are the house of Yahuwah dwelling us by the Ruach Kadosh of Yahushua. And even back then, the Father wanted people to have their bodies as living sacrifices, a tabernacle to dwell in, but they didn't get the picture. So the Mashiach came more fuller. The Levitical or the Kohanim, they knew more about it, the Zadok, about the indwelling presence of the Ruach Kadosh. In Christianity, they deceive people and say that I'm going to use their terms, in the Old Testament, the anointing was upon them, which is true that you see that in scriptures, and the anointing is upon me or upon them, or you spoke. But then also you'll see that they were full of the Ruach Kadosh, and they spoke and gave a word, but they were full of the anointing. They had gifts that were in them. It says that, there's scriptures, that the Father, the men that made the Ark of the Covenant, the men that made the artifacts and all the instruments, he's I will put my Ruach in them, and they shall know what to do. You know what I mean? So we know that some people knew about being possessed with the indwelling presence of the Ruach Kadosh. You know, we see movies and everything else of people possessed of evil. And today we're seeing such a possession of evil in the schools and other places around us, and exploiting children. And the only way these people could do such evil deeds and parades in front of public is that they're possessed with something evil. But the enemy is stealing the understanding of being occupied and being a tabernacle, an indwelling vessel for the Ruach of Yahuwah in us. And that's the place we want to be, you know, to have that particular presence on us consciously. And what we do is we have to consciously do it. We can be in a store or market or anywhere, and we can put ourselves in a conscious understanding that we're filled with the Ruach Kadosh, and we're sensitive to the Ruach to minister to somebody in the market store or somebody in the car with us or at work. Or we could just shun it off, and the Ruach and the little beautiful sweet voice will try to get us to do that, but then we desensitize ourselves and brush it off because we're just doing our work or whatever we're doing, you know, or we're in a time frame. You know, that's the thing that always messes with me, you know, is that we're on a time frame to get one place to another, or get to one job site to another. That's what happens with us. And sometimes we got to block it out. But I have literally turned off my meter and turned around and witnessed to the people in the car because they were so interested in learning. I said, forget the money. I'm turning it off. You want to talk? Then I'll talk to the person. Then I'll give them my card. They can get a hold of me and email me later. But he wants us to be that sensitive, you know what I mean? And as we see this journey of the ark, I know it's history, and I know to some people it might be, this is kind of, you know, I heard about it before. It's not that too exciting. No, it's exciting because we are the house now. We are the tabernacle. We are the tent of witness. And when we travel, no matter where we're parked, temporary home, permanent home, whatever, because you see on the map, you know, all the years that the ark and the tent of witness was traveling, where the presence was there. And so it's not permanent residence. You know what I mean? It was moving around. And of course, David changed things to bring it to Yerushalayim, to the Melchizedek place of worship called Yerushalayim. Right? So as we study this movement, we have to think of ourselves. We are in this movement. Wherever we go, wherever we're planted, wherever we at, to be the house of Yahuwah in us, around us, and our neighbors know it, that what we're about, showing love, talking, witnessing, seeing their needs, to the elderly around us in our neighborhood, and saying hi to people. Brother and I, we force people to say hi to us. We say hi to them regardless. They don't say, oh, hi, okay, bye. Don't say nothing. I said, they can hear me, and I'm doing that, because we're trying to break the ice with the people, to be shalom with them. But this is the journeys, and we're going to start going through it, where the Philistines destroyed. And of course, the year 305 or 1399, 1094 BC in the paganistic calendar. And then we're going to make these journeys also to Ashdod, Gath. We're going to look at their areas. We're in Shemesh, the house in Shemesh, and Rumalia, Elah. And so we're going to journey it, and we're going to look at the houses it stayed at and who were their parents, why the ark went there. Kind of, that's why getting ready to share, if you get the opportunity, if you have a little more input than when we're sharing, then you can add to it. So praise Yah, hallelujah. So let's go now and we're going to Yehoshua chapter 18, start at verse 1. You can follow
Yehoshua 18:1. Okay, and all the congregation of the children of Israel assembled in Shiloh, and they let the tent of meeting dwell there, and the land was subdued before them. And 7 tribes were left among the children of Israel who had not shared their inheritance. So Yehoshua said to the children of Israel, till when are you going to fail to go in and possess the land which Yahuwah Eloah of your fathers has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe, and let me send them out to go through the land and describe it according to their inheritance, and come back to me. And they shall divide it into 7 portions. Yehudah stays within the border on the south, and the house of Yosef stays within the border of the north. And you shall describe the land in 7 portions, and shall bring it to me. Then I shall cast lots for you here before Yahuwah or Eloah. But the Levites had no portion among you, for the priesthood of Yahuwah is their inheritance. And Gad and Reuben and half the tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond the Yarden on the east. And Moshe, the servant of Yahuwah, came to them, which Moshe, the servant of Yahuwah, gave them. So the men rose up and went, and Yehoshua commanded those who went to describe the land, saying, go, walk through the land, and describe it, and come back to me, and let me cast lots for you here before Yahuwah in Shiloh. So the men went and passed through the land and described it in a book in 7 portions by cities. And they came to Yehoshua at the camp in Shiloh. And Yehoshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before Yahuwah. And there Yehoshua divided the land to their children, to the children of Israel, according to their portions.
Okay, stop there. Thank you, brother. So now, today, many of those areas are not occupied by Israel. They're occupied by strangers that have foreign mighty ones. And instead of occupying their land, the enemy through the UN is dominating them and telling them, no, be good. Don't, you're not like the ancient Israelites. You're not trying to kick the people out or conquer. They've been living there. So you got, and see the problem with this mentality, they're not inheriting their land. Now, nobody's saying to go there and start massacring people, but there's a promise it says that the Father would use the creatures to drive them out. Snakes, scorpions, grasshoppers, everything else. And then they would become less and less, and you will become more and more. There's several verses about this. The other thing is, if Israel, I know it's a could have been, should have been thought, but if Israel was thinking today, not then, back then they were supposed to occupy the land, and remove all their pagan idols and get them out of there, right? But they failed. They eventually did a lot of it, but they didn't do it all. So all the sin occupied with them, just like today. Tel Aviv is just like Hollywood. It's horrible. And areas of, where the house of Gad is, Muslims live there, and Ramallah, the Muslims live there, and the Palestinians actually live there, the Fatah party. And so there's places you're driving down the road and you're seeing the signs and, oh, there's that. Let's go visit. Oh, no, those are Islamic. And my friend will tell me, no, we can't go there. We're Yehudi. I used to get upset. I said, well, why can't, and I'm saying this to my friend only, not in a public square with a bunch of rabbinical Jews. How come you guys can't just buy them out slowly, which they're doing in Yehudi and Samaria right now?
That's how it's happening
right now.
Yeah, right now.
But some of those people are distant cousins. Some of those people are half-breeds. Some of those people are a third or quarter Yehudi from the ancient 1600, 1500. A lot of them were migrant workers. They came in by the Brits, and before the Brits, whoever was occupying the land and controlling it. But I used to have a thing. I used to remember when a shepherd would tell me, a Christian shepherd would tell me, well, I can't get nobody in my Cersei. And I would say, well, did you go door to door? Did you go meet people at the park? Did you go here? I says, convert them. Convert your neighbors. Convert everybody around you. Mm-hmm. I start converting them and then fill your place up with the converts. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And so I used to think the same way in Israel. I said, Yehudi, why can't you convert these people? If you approach them the right way, in a Middle Eastern way, they'll listen to you, and they probably will accept, because there's been newspaper articles. There's been past newspaper articles where they posted online. It ended up in European news. It said that the mighty one, they would say God of Israel, is greater than the mighty one of the Palestinians, because the Palestinians keep losing. You know what I mean? There was articles, and these were Arab people putting the article up. You know what I mean? So they question it. And that's why many Arab countries that have their own countries and they're Islamic, they, in their quiet conversation, they said, well, there's something wrong. Allah is not letting them conquer Israel because their occupation and their living and what they're doing, Allah does not please him in order for them to be conquered. Now, the other way of the side is Israel's not conquering back what we're supposed to inherit because they're not pleasing the Father.
Right.
That's the other thing. The apple of his eye, Yerushalayim, they have parades. They have, what parades? The he, she, sugar in the tank, girly parades. You know what I mean? Oops. So, and so it's both ways. And in the Islamic world, they think that way, but in the same way in Israel, the Yehudis say the same thing. We're doing something wrong, and you better believe you're doing something wrong. You are rabbinical Judaism. That is not Torah Moshe. And the Father will not allow you to. It says that one should put 10 to flight. It says that they should have a terror against Israel, right? But they don't have a terror. They are the terrorists.
Right. But if I can speak another word to that, is the other thing that's happening there is that those who Yah is moving for them to go back to Israel are being rejected. Okay, that's
the ones that will really take care of business.
Right, the ones that. So you have different people from all sorts of nations all over the earth saying, "Hey, I'm Yehudi. I found out that through my lineage or through belief, they're calling themselves Israelites, and they're wanting to come back in to inherit the land as is promised to them by Father Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Anyways, to come back in and inherit the land." The Knesset and the people, the government there is rejecting them. Okay, so it's not just the what kind of parades that are keeping the people from Yahuwah's people from inheriting, but also the government that is in place is keeping the people from inheriting. I just wanted to put that out there.
Good. It's good. Now let's go to Joshua chapter 21, verse 1. We'll start reading. And this answers some of our questions, because you got to realize Shiloh is the place where the tent of witnesses, the ark and the tent, okay? As we see right here, this is a replica. There's an entrance where you go in. Let's see here. This is the entrance where you come up the hill and you get a tour pack. You go on a tour before you go to the other building, okay? And they're slowly, as you see those beautiful homes back there, they're occupied,
Yeah.
And those are stone houses. They're not sticks. Those are stone homes called Yerushalayim limestone. So this is where it used to be. It is a set apart place because of the history of the anointing that was there. Okay. So this is where they're at, and this is what it looks like. And they're starting to occupy, as you see in the distance as well. So let's go back to the other one, to the scriptures. And we're going to go ahead and read, and then we're going to see more what's going on about the inheritance. Years have gone by, and they have not got their inheritance.
Read Joshua 21:1.
Yeah, we're going to start reading from 1. I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay. And the heads of the fathers of the Levites came near to Eleazar, the priest, to Yehoshua, son of Nun, and to the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel. And they spoke to them at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, saying, Yahuwah commanded through Moshe to give us cities to dwell in with their open land for our livestock. So the children of Israel gave to the Levites from their inheritance at the command of Yahuwah these cities and their open land.
Now stop there for a minute. See, Jerusalem is not occupied yet. It belongs to somebody else. And that's part of the territory that's got to be taken. And David did it legally, buying it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and they became a mixed multitude in the group, and they did worship one Aloha, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because of the place of Melchizedek,
right,
place of sacrifice. So today, or historically, after David, Solomon, and the rebuilding returning back from Babel, the Yehudi, or the Luites and Benjamin, they lived around the walls, and they had land around there.
Right.
Because they had no inheritance but doing the temple work, right?
Right.
So they had to have land. So this is the first time they end up getting, we need inheritance. We need to grow our herbs and crops and have some cattle. You know what I mean? And was that telling me that the people are not bringing it to them according to Torah?
Right. Or they wouldn't need none of that.
They wouldn't need that.
Right. Because there was allotted to them in the very beginning.
Yeah, it was allotted to them, and they got a ration. You know what I mean? And they all eat from the daily rations of the sacrifices.
Right.
The Kohanim. So something's going on here, but this is how they figured out how to fix it. Keep reading.
Verse number 4. And And the lot came out for the clans of the Kehathites, and the children of Aaron, the priests who were of the Levite, had 13 cities by lot from the tribe of Yehuda, from the tribe of Shimon, and from the tribe of Binyamin. And the rest of the children of Kehath had 10 cities by lot from the clans of the tribe of Ephraim and Dan and half tribe of Manasseh. So they're all separate. They're all allotting this land out. And the children of Gershon had 13 cities by lot from the clans of the tribe of Issachar, and from Asher, and from the tribe of Naphtali, and from half tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. The children of Merari for the clans had 12 cities from the tribe of Reuben, and from the tribe of Gad, and from the tribe of Zebulun. Thus the children of Israel gave these cities with their open land by lot to the Levites, as Yahuwah had commanded by the hand of Moshe. So from the tribe of the children of Yehuda and from the tribe of the children of Shimon, they gave these cities. So from the tribe of the children of Yehuda and from the tribe of the children of Shimon, they gave these cities which are mentioned by name. And they were the children of Aaron, one of the clans of the Kehathites, who were of the children of Levi, for the lot was theirs first.
Okay. So that just shows you that they were occupying around Shiloh, because they're the Kohanim, they're living right there. So
Right.
that picture I showed you, that old place was occupied by the Kohanim, and the workers and the musicians and
Right.
everything else was there. Because some Levi are not Zadok Kohanim, going in the set apart place, but they do the shores, they do the cattle, they do all the other menial other work of the ones that work in the courses inside. You know what I
Right.
mean? So they had other ones that are not Zadokite, but they're Louis. They're still Kohan, but they did other chores. The women would embroider the clothing, and I only got pictures to show you. I do have them on file. I'm just here sharing at a whim. So this is to show you the occupation going on around Shiloh.
Right.
It was a steep thing for many years. Okay, so from here now we're going to go to Shemuel, chapter 1, verse 3, and verse 24 of chapter 1. Now we're going to go to Shemuel.
Now this man went up from his city year by year to worship and to slaughter to Yahuwah of the host of Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of Yahuwah, were there.
Okay, stop there. We're not going to read further. This is basically a story of Samuel, the birth, her praying for a child, her womb's open up and has a child. This is the story. But I'm only picking one little verse to let you know that they were occupying the area and they were doing the offerings, but eventually Eli became slothful and his three sons became wicked, and they were doing wicked sacrifices and all kinds of wicked things with women. So, but in the beginning they were fair, they were okay.
Verse 24. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bulls and 1 ephah of flour and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of Yahuwah in Shiloh. And the child was young. Keep going.
It says that 1 to 3 years old bulls of the sacrifice. So they were young bulls, and you got to have money to have a bull, but you were giving up 3. You know what I mean?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So, and that was a part of the sacrifice offering, as she gave up her son to be a servant in the house of Yahuwah.
In Shiloh.
In Shiloh.
Yeah.
So I'm showing footprints of information in the scriptures. Now we're going to go to chapter 3, verse 21.
And Yahuwah continued to appear in Shiloh because Yahuwah revealed himself to Shemuel in Shiloh by the word of Yahuwah.
So this, we know in verse 20 and 19 that Samuel has been established as a Nabi of Yahuwah. And he worked in the Kohanite place. Was he grafted in as a Zadok, or was he part Zadok of the outer tribes?
He was an offering. He was an offering.
He was a living offering.
Yeah, he was so you know the rule. The Torah says that you are to give your firstborn. He was firstborn. You are to give your firstborn to Yahuwah, the firstborn of the field, the cattle of the field, the beasts of the field, the firstborn of your sons. You are to give to Yahuwah.
You had to give an offering too.
You are to ransom him.
Ransom.
Okay, so and if you don't, you're supposed to get a donkey and break its neck. Samuel's mother wanted to dedicate him. She couldn't have babies. She was barren, and she couldn't have babies. And she promised. She said, Father, just give me a baby, and I'll dedicate his life to you. So she kept her promise. So when the baby was born, it was a miracle because she was barren. She took Samuel up to the Kohanim after she had weaned him. When he was no longer needing the milk of the mother, she got his stuff together and took him up to the set apart place, and there in her area, which was Shiloh, and she took with her the offering of the bulls and stuff, and went up there and made an offering and gave. Samuel was totally dedicated to Yahuwah. This was from Yahuwah.
Now, the reason I brought it up was twofold, brother, and everybody listening on this podcast, Zoom. Number one, right, she dedicated him with the offering. If he wasn't a Kohanim by Zadok, Aaron bloodhood, according to when Moshe was in the wilderness, the father wanted all the firstborn sons in the beginning.
That's right.
To be an offering and be priests. So every man that had a first son, your son was gone once he's weaned.
Yep.
And or grows up to a certain place, and he has to go be a Levi. So the Levi was going to be part of every firstborn of every tribe that exists.
Right, exactly. So the firstborn is dedicated to Yahuwah. Yeah. Yeah, even everything of the first, even your first of your fruits belongs to Yahuwah.
Yeah.
And this is the fruit of your loin and the fruit of the land too.
So even though they were not doing something that was now scriptural standing, they did something, Samuel's parents, according to what Moshe really wanted, or the father really wanted. And because they said, no, put a mask on your head, we don't want to see his face, no, appoint somebody else. And then he's, okay, the Aaron's sons will do it.
Right.
And then I'm going to divide them up.
Right.
I'm going to divide his sons up. Some are Zadok, and some are this, and some are that.
Yeah, Yahuwah even said, look, these people are wicked. They're stiff-necked, and they're wicked. You know what, Moshe? I'm just going to go ahead and make a nation out of you instead of these people. I mean, this was... think about if you go back and you read it, these words were being said.
I know. And I'm glad he said, it would be like if the father would told me, no, I'm too old. I don't want to be here another 200 years, man. Yeah. Making babies and making up a new tribe, man. Let's fix these people first. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it continued to appear in Shiloh because Yahuwah revealed himself to Shemuel in Shiloh by the word of Yahuwah. Okay. So let's go to the next verse, chapter 4, 3 and 4.
All right. And when the people came into the camp, the elders of Israel said, why has Yahuwah smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us bring back the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah from Shiloh to us, so that he comes into our midst and save us from the hand of our enemies. And the people went to Shiloh, and they brought from there the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah of hosts, Sebaot. dwelling between the Cherubim. This is the one that we serve. I love the way it says that. Yahuwah Sebaot, who dwells between the Cherubim. So that no other mighty ones, only Yahuwah Sebaot dwells between the Cherubim. Nobody else does. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Pinas, were there with the Ark of the Covenant of Eloah.
And when the Ark of the Covenant of Yahweh came into the camp, all Israel shouted loudly that the earth shook. Now, the people in the land knew the history. Wherever the Ark came in the picture, they're in trouble.
Right.
You know? But the problem was the sons of Eli were
backsliding.
Sinful.
They were
backslidden. Doubt, unbelief.
Right.
So the Father says, you can't get an offering with unclean hands. You're not going to do it with these type of people. And you want me to go to war with you now? And these men are operating unclean, because if the Yahweh showed up and destroyed them, then those three men, the sons and Eli, will have esteem.
Right.
In their sinful, adulterous heart, because it says that they were giving extra food to women and having sex with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Flirting with them and everything else. So, okay, so I know I leaped ahead. I am jumping because I'm being spotty, just to show you the picture of following what's going to happen to the ark. So let's go to, we know what happens later on, the death of Eli, his sons. The ark is taken away. Let me show you. We're going to chapter 14, verse 3. But we're going to go to Eli was so fat, fell over, had a heart attack. So fat, he had a heart attack. You got it right. His sons were killed. Everybody killed. The ark was taken captive by the Philistines, or Philista. And then they turned around and their seers said, it's because you brought the ark into our camp and we're going to be plagued and died. All the women were barren. People were dying. They were getting lice, and they all had hemorrhoids. It says tumors, but when you look it up in Hebrew, it was hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Itchy, scratchy, bloody hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
And the women couldn't bear children immediately. So it was there a while. So now they're going to take the ark out, or they put it in a cart and put two young calves and sent them on their way. Excuse me. And when they said they went led by the Yahuwah back to the camp of Israel. Of course, they saw it. They were greeting it. They were celebrating it. But the Kohanim didn't take off the cart and walk. They're supposed to walk with it.
Right.
The Philistines, they put it on a cart with two virgin, calves. And so so it could be an offering to go back. And they say if it goes back on the way back to Israel, then it was really from the Most High, of the Mighty One of Israel. But if they lingered and wandered different places, then these plagues on our bodies is something different. So I'm just giving a paraphrase quickie. And then, of course, they didn't take it off the cart. They continue to allow it to be moving. And it struck one of the men, as you see in these pictures, and passed away, okay, before they got back to Shiloh. And I just wanted to show you that so you could see an image of it. So here is where the Philistines will eventually destroy the city. You can see by where the occupation and where the surrounding areas are. We're now traveling to go to a particular man's house, which we're going to find out who he is and what's about him. And we're going to follow the ark, the tent of witness. It's just the ark. No, it's not the tent of witness and all the equipment and all the sacrificial equipment, just the ark on that cart, which they should have got the Kohanim and took it off and put it. But they were dead. Many of them were dead. The three main sons were dead. They were supercharged. They were in charge of everybody. So it didn't happen that way. So let's go back to the scriptures. We're going to chapter 14, verse 3.
And Ahiah, son of Ahituv, Ichabod's brother, son of Pinas, son of Eli, the priest of Yahuwah, and Shiloh was wearing a shoulder garment. And the people did not know that Jonathan had gone and between the passes by which Jonathan sought to go over to the outposts of the Philistines, there was an edge of a rock on one side and an edge of a rock on the other side. And the name of one was Bozetz, and the name of the other was Senem. The edge of one was on the north opposite Michmash, and the other on the south opposite Gibal. And Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come and let us go over to the outpost of these uncircumcised. If so be Yahuwah does work for us, for there is no hindrance for Yahuwah to save by many or by few." And his armor bearer said to him, "Do all that is in your heart, incline yourself. See, I am with you according to your heart." Jonathan said, "We are passing over to the men and show ourselves to them."
Okay, stop there. So now we're, of course, Samuel anointed Saul. We're many chapters past that, what we just read in chapter 3 and 4. And Jonathan is getting ready to light some foxtails. Okay. They're getting ready to light some foxtails and stir up the bush, because he's tired of this name shaming and gaming, and the Philistines, Philista was having tolls and persecuting and taking their crops and doing all this stuff, almost like it's going on today. But it took him and his armor bearer to make a stand, and they ended up taking this tower down, destroying the tower that was probably a toll booth, also collecting money when they passed by, or taking things from them. So this shows you what was going on of the Kohanim that were there in Shiloh wearing a shoulder garment, and the people did not know that Yohanan had gone. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to go to stop for a minute and go to Tehillim, actually, 78:6, verse 1. We're going to end up in 6. "My people give ear to my Torah, incline your ear to the words of my mouth. I opened my mouth in a parable. I uttered riddles of old, which we have heard and known, for our fathers have related them to us. We do not hide them from their children, relating to the generations to come, praising of Yahuwah and his strength and his wonders which he had done. And he raised a witness in Jacob, and set a Torah in Yasharel, and he commanded our fathers to teach them to the children." Of course, we're supposed to teach it to our children and children's children. Verse 6, "that it might be known to a generation to come, to children who would be born, to rise up and relate them to their children." Now go and place their trust in Allah, and not forget the works of a mighty one. That's what El means. "But watch over his commands." Now go to verse 60. "And he left the dwelling place of Shiloh and the tent which he had set up among men." Okay, so in this particular verse of verse 60, verse 59, "and when Allah heard this, he was angry and greatly despised Israel." Okay. "And he left the dwelling place of Shiloh and the tent which he had set up among men. And he gave his strength into captivity and his comeliness into the land of." So at this particular point, he was fed up, and the anointing was lifted up from that location. Okay. Which we know it moved, and we're going to follow the move. Now, before we go to the next passage of scripture in Yirmiyahu 26:6-9, before we go there, I want to open you to unmute your mic, share anything you would like to share, or ask questions. Please do.
I have a question about the firstborn. Does y'all still consider the first male born in any of the tribe to be the priest, or because I know he says we're priests of our homes as men. How does that work?
Well, you know, brother, my son and I, before he passed away, we did a little study on it. Did it ever stop? How come the rabbinical Jews don't do it? How come when they have a firstborn, they don't make an offering? According to scripture, if they're so rabbinical, you know what I mean? Because if you do make the offering, you're protecting your child to be a Kohen, to be set apart, your firstborn to be set apart to the Father. Of course, in Christianity, we didn't know nothing about such stuff. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's supposed to protect them from a curse of falling away. But then brother and I have been talking, and we celebrate that even though many of our brothers and sisters have not accepted Yahuwah, the Father raised us up. Maybe generations ago, our great-great-grandfather bowed the knee and said in prayer, saying, Father, if my family gets captured by Catholics, if my family becomes Catholics, if my family forgets your name, raise up a son from my seed, my loins. And then here we pop up 6 generations later. Right?
No, that's true.
Somebody said a prayer. Our father said a prayer like Jonah. Jonah, Bar Jonah in the scriptures is this great-great-great-grandson of Jonah.
Right.
I'm sure the father had a covenant with Jonah and said, okay, I'm going to make sure your sons see the Messiah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So maybe one of our ancestors did the same. You know what I mean? And out of the group of our family, we were picked out, and the name ringed into our nefesh and our lab. The shofar brought chills to our spine. We stood at attention, and we knew to renounce the old stuff. You know what I mean? You want to add to that, brother?
Yeah, I wanted to say that so if you take everything that's being taught into perspective, you have back then during these days a people that certain rules and laws were given to them because they did not want to become a nation of Kohanim. Okay, so they have Kohanim to speak to Yahuwah, to speak to them. That's basically what was happening. The firstborns were being dedicated in each family to Yahuwah. But today, through Yahushua HaMashiach, we are a nation of priests, all of us together. Okay, and so it's not just by the oldest. That's why Yahushua said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Because I mean, it doesn't matter what do you call this? I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but I'm going to say that we are in a new and better covenant. Okay, we are in a renewed covenant and a better covenant. What is so much better is that that the veil was torn, and that each one of us can have a relationship directly with the Father through Yahushua HaMashiach, because Yahushua is the Father in the flesh. He said, if you have seen me, you have seen my Father. So then he is the Father. And the better, the renewed and better covenant is that we don't have to be the firstborn to have a relationship with him.
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay, but now each one of us can come in and have a relationship directly through the Father through the belief in Yahushua HaMashiach.
And you notice, Lamek, too, that we that have come out of a family that refuses to come out, and some of our parents the same way.
Yeah.
We dedicated ourselves just like Samuel. We were a living sacrifice dedicated to him. We come to the true name, the Torah, the commandments, the feast, the look, our clothes, everything. You follow what I'm saying? So we have dedicated ourselves just like Samuel.
I want to just share too that like when I came up when Yahuwah revealed his name to me, it was like so easy for me just to give up the pagan names, you know, these false names that we were taught since childhood to call upon. And I asked the Father, I said, Father, why is it so hard for people? It's so hard for them to give up, these the false names, the pagan names, like I just don't understand. I mean, then you read scripture, it says, well, like Yahusha says that my sheep, my people hear my voice and will follow the Lamb wherever he goes.
The analogy is this, is that not everyone is going to accept this. Not everyone is going to be meek and say, you know what, the way I was thinking before was wrong. So let me try this path. The brain doesn't work like that. Their brain is saying, oh no, you're pulling people out of their comfort zone. They're comfortable with God and the J-man. They're comfortable with everything that they've been taught.
Yeah.
Okay. The question is, can you let that go? Can you trust in Yahuwah? And what you're doing is you're putting your trust in the Father. So I'll stop right there. But go ahead, brother. You were going to say something else.
I was just gonna say too. I mean, I'll speak to some people, and when Yahuwah tells me to, or when I feel like the Ruach just nudging me to speak to someone, and usually as people that have been in the circuit for about 30 years, and they're like, and I tell them, hey, look, so we become the bride, and they're like, man, I never heard that. I've been reading what scriptures are you reading? I'm like, I'm reading the same scriptures that you're reading. We have to enter into the covenant, and observe his ways, his festivals, his instructions, his right rulings, his Torah. And well, they deny all that, and they're like, well, I don't know what you guys. Man, if you open up the scriptures and read it, you will see that we have to enter into a covenant. And they just plainly deny that.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, Young, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great. How about yourself?
Good, good.
I want to say I want to share a short interaction I had this past week. So I had a barbecue at my house Sunday. A couple friends came over, and one of my relatives friends, he was from Israel. So I asked him, like, he was born and raised in Israel. Well, I don't know born, but he was raised in Israel for some time. But they don't believe in the Messiah. And we started going like back and forth, left and right a little bit, and we tell, he does the Sabbath, all that, but he says his faith is in Moshe and not necessarily, and then, in the New Testament. However, but I was just, we were just talking, and one thing I said, so do you, do you call on the Father's name? Do you call on Yahuwah? He said that no, because the Father doesn't necessarily have a name. It's just Elohim.
Well, he been lied to.
Well, yeah, I told him so. I said so. He said it's familiar. He knows of that name. It is, but like typically they would probably say Yahweh or something like that. But it was the conversation we was having, and we're probably just like gonna follow up with him. The next time I talk to him, we exchange numbers and
That's
everything
great,
like
brother.
that. But yeah, that's it.
That's
It was
good.
nothing no tension or anything like that. I was just, just curious. Okay, so why do you believe what like what's up? What's going on? He speak Hebrew fluently.
Yeah,
He
because
understands, but I was like, you know what? I have to send you I have to send you the link to my, my Shabbat, my teachings, and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, that's it.
that's good. That's good. The Father had you run into somebody to get a little interaction there, communication with somebody that. Did he say what part of Israel he grew up in?
No, Now, I believe by Tel Aviv, but I said, so you've been to Tel Aviv? He was like, yeah, I lived around in that area, but
Yeah, that's a big
maybe.
problem. Tel Aviv's
Yeah.
pretty warm.
Hmm.
Mixture, you know.
You know, but I, I'm, I sort of have an insight. People don't believe because how the picture is perverted and painted when it comes to the Messiah. Like somebody would tell you, oh, don't believe in the J-Man or don't believe in white Jesus or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Somebody wouldn't actually is not real. And that can like that thought right there can just have a ripple effect.
And you know, like when I say the names, and they're from Israel, and they, by my experience in the past, and I tell them, they say, "Well, you're talking about the Christian Messiah, Jesus?" I said, "No, Jesus is a pagan deity of the Catholic Church. It's paganism. You know,
Yes.
I'm talking about the Hebrew Mashiach found in Zechariah chapter 4, 5, and 6. The High Queen Zadok. I'm talking about that one."
Yeah.
And they
Yes.
said, "Whoa, I never knew." You know, they kind of, you know, because see, they don't tell them, brother. They, you know, rabbis tell them nobody speaks the Father's name no more by rabbinical law, or no one has the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of and language of the phonetic sounds anymore. But they
Mm-hmm.
forget that there's
Mm-hmm.
Samaritans that have scrolls, and there's Yemenites that have scrolls older than the rabbinical Jews that do speak the name. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
it's amazing. But praise Yah, I'm so glad you had that interaction.
I'll let you guys go. I get off. Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, brother. All right, everybody, we're going to go now to Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu, chapter 7, verse 1. We're going to start reading. We are going to focus on 12, but we're going to start reading from verse 1.
The word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah, saying, stand in the gate of the house of Yahuwah, and you shall proclaim there this word, and shall say, hear the word of Yahuwah, all you of Yehudah, who enter in at these gates to bow before Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Eloah of Israel, make all your ways and your deeds tov. Then I let you dwell in this place. Do not trust in these false words, saying, this is the Hekal of Yahuwah, the Hekal of Yahuwah, the Hekal of Yahuwah.
Now, just stop right there.
Wow.
You hear what he's saying?
Mm-hmm. This is not the house of Yahuwah.
They're saying it, the Shiloh, this is the house of Yahuwah, this is the house of Yahuwah. But he says, hey, wait a minute, if you don't follow and keep it,
right,
something's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So don't just keep confessing it. All right, bro, I'm sorry, keep reading.
No, I'm thinking they're saying that because it's built with man's hands. But anyways,
because he wants to dwell in us.
Right. This is the Hekal of Yahuwah. So he's telling them, do not trust in these false words, saying, this is the Hekal of Yahuwah. For if, verse number 5, for if you truly make your ways and your deeds tov, if you truly do right ruling between a man and his neighbor, even between a man and his neighbor, if you do not oppress the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place, or walk after other mighty ones to your own evil, then I shall let you dwell in this place, in the land that I have gave to your fathers forever and ever. See, you are trusting in false words, which do not profit, stealing, murdering, committing adultery, swearing falsely, burning incense to Baal, and walking after other mighty ones that you do not know. And you came and stood before me in this house which is called by my name, and said, we have been delivered in order to do all these abominations. No, that's not why. Okay, it has this house which is called by my name become a den of robbers in your eyes. Look, even I myself have seen it, declares Yahuwah. But go now to my place in Shiloh, where I set my name at first, and see what I did to it, because of the evil of my people.
Stop
Israel.
right there for a minute. So he said, now he's telling them Yirmiyahu over here in the new place in Yerushalayim.
Right.
See what happened over there?
Yeah. I removed my name from there because of these things that you're doing here now.
And you're not doing it over here.
Right.
You know? All right, keep reading. 13.
13. It says, let me move my screen up a little bit. Okay, 13. And now, because you have done all these works, declares Yahuwah, and I have spoke to you, rising up early and speaking, but you did not hear, and I called you, but you did not answer, and shall also do to this house which is called by my name, in which you trust, and to this place which I have gave to you and your fathers, as I did in Shiloh. And I shall cast you out of my presence, as I have cast out all your brothers, all the seed of Ephraim. So, wow, that's
because that where Shiloh was Ephraim.
Right. That's where they were given a letter of divorce later on, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where Yah began to scatter the nations, to scatter Israel. And Israel went out into all of the nations. Ephraim, 16. And you do not pray for this people, nor lift up a cry or a prayer for them, nor make intercession to me, for I do not hear you. Do you not see what they are doing in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Yerushalayim? The children are gathering wood, the fathers are lighting the fire, and the women are kneading their dough to make cakes for the sovereigns of the Shamayim. This is for the Virgin Mary, for the Catholicos, and all of you who are worshiping those, all of those who are worshiping those the sovereignness of Shamayim, and to pour out drink offerings to other mighty ones to provoke me. Is it me they are provoking? Brother, I would love for you to show them the picture you showed me earlier.
That's what I'm going to.
Do you have it? I mean, this is literally speaking about this. Brother's going to show a picture here in a minute, but...
So it says here, you're kneading the doughs to make cakes to the queen,
right,
the queen of Shamayim, and to pour out the drink offerings onto other mighty ones, that they may provoke you to anger. And me to anger. They do not provoke me to anger, says Yahuwah. They provoke themselves to the confusion of their face. So let me show you this picture in a minute.
And this is confusion. This is
confusion.
That's what the catechisms are. And no matter what the Christians say, the Baptists, the whatever it may be, they are all being nursed off of the mother harlot, which is the Catholic Church. Okay, the mother harlot is where we came out of, the Catholicos, out of the catechism, which is a universal religion that has a mixture of everything in it. And it's very wicked. It is very wicked. So they bring they have stuff like a tabernacle with the Virgin Mary on top of the tabernacle, with the moon under her, a sunburst in her chest, with two the Cherubim and the Ark of the Covenant. So it's a mixture of all of these. So they want to be all inclusive. Does that sound familiar? They want to be all inclusive. They want everyone. They want to get everyone's thoughts and beliefs and put them together, and for everybody to partake of that. That's what they say. But they want to partake of everything. But as soon as somebody like Brother gets there and starts preaching the truth, they're no longer inclusive anymore. Okay, they're no longer inclusive. They're as a matter of fact, we're excluded from all of that, because we're not part of the harlot church who is partaking in all of these different mighty ones. That's the problem. That's where the problem lies, is that the people that are in Catholicism are partaking in this right here, what you're seeing on the screen.
In your face. They converted an ark. They put 2 tablets of stone and manna bowl. They got the Mary, the queen of Shamayim, with a moon under her feet, which there's a scripture on it, but they twisted it. But they got the heliocentral system starburst.
This is what Yahuwah is saying. Look, you're putting this in my face. And what is the very first commandment? Thou shalt not have any other what? Mighty ones before my face.
To put it right on the ark and mixture with the commandments and the manna.
Yeah, so when they say to you, what is wrong that we're saying G-O-D? What's wrong with that? How come you don't like that? Well, because Abba says not to do that. He literally says not to do it. Stop it. And this is what they come up with. This kind of perversion. This is why Yahuwah is rejecting them. It has rejected the people because Yahuwah rejected our ancestors because of the mixture of worship.
Horrible what you see. You know, there's other pictures of other ones like it, smaller ones and bigger ones. This is the main location of this particular pagan Catholic temple, which has, you know, this golden painted ark with, I mean, this is crazy.
Let me just ask you something. This natural, remember the video that we had a few weeks ago about what's natural? And we show you a picture of what's natural. And look, this is unnatural. Okay? Now, if you look at this picture, is this natural or is this unnatural? Well, it's unnatural. Just like everything else. So what is born out of this is what you see today that's unnatural. That's what's born out of this. Okay, what you see today that's unnatural, it's a free-for-all, man. Nobody cares. Everybody's doing their own thing.
Horrible, horrible stuff, man. Let's keep reading verse 20 next.
Therefore, thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, my displeasure and my wrath is poured out on this place, on man and on beast, on the trees of the field and on the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and not be quenched.
Whoa, stop there. Fires everywhere.
Right.
France is burning down. That's part of communism too,
Yeah.
right? But you see the fires in Canada, and the animals are affected. The crop is affected. The trees that give oxygen is affected. Of course, we think there's a lot of little laser heat waves going down because you see aluminum melting so hot, but trees are still standing there. You know, there's something weird going on there in those fires. But you got stoning as a part of punishment, and you got fires a part of purification, and even hailstones from the sky, which are meteorites and tails of comets throwing things to earth. That's a part of punishment on the land. Okay, verse 21.
Verse 21, and thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Eloah of Israel, add your burnt offerings to your slaughterings, and eat meat. For I did not speak to your fathers or command them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Mizraim about matters of burnt offerings or slaughterings. But this word I did command them, saying, obey my voice, and I shall be your Eloah, and you be my people, and walk in all the ways that I have commanded you, so that it will be well with you. Verse number 24, but they did not obey or incline their ear, but walked in the counsels, in the stubbornness of their evil heart, and they went backward and not forward. From the day that your fathers came out of the land of Mizraim until this day, I have even sent to you all my servants, my Nabi, my servants, and Nabi, daily rising up early and sending them. But they did not obey me or incline their ear, but stiffened their neck. They did evil more than their fathers, and you shall speak all these words to them, though they do not listen. Okay, but you shall say to them, this is a nation that did not obey the voice of Yahuwah, their Eloah, nor did they accept instruction. Truth has perished and has been cut off from their mouth. Cut off your hair and throw it away, and take up a lamentation and bear on the bare heights. For Yahuwah has rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath.
Okay, stop right there. So he's giving a word of warning to the house in Yerushalayim before Babel came and just went down. This is not when the Romans did it, and the Greeks, and he's giving a word before they go into their action. We go into captivity to Babylon. So, but he's explaining and saying, just like Shiloh, it's going to happen to you because you do not. And you know, it's amazing. He says to cut off your hair and throw it to lamentations. In other words, the beauty of your hair, your lots, your payots, all your look,
everything.
And you know what, too? It's amazing that your hair has your DNA.
Yeah.
They say it's the best DNA.
So what we're seeing today, I'm sorry, brother.
Go on.
What we're seeing today on the news and everywhere, the actions that are being taken, I mean, we are his people, and we should be fasting, and we should be putting on sackcloth and what do you call this? Cutting our hair off, doing sacrificing to Yahuwah because of the wickedness of the land. So if we're part of that 1% or that whatever that percentage is of people who are actually going to do the Torah, then we're responsible. We're just like the Kohanim back then were responsible. Okay, and instead of them, and we should do the same thing. We should put on sackcloth and put a fasting on before Yahuwah, so that Yahuwah will forgive us and heal the land. We're living in this world right now. I just want to put that out there.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's go to Yirmiyahu chapter 26. We're going to start at verse 6.
It says, "Then I shall make this house like Shiloh, and make this city a curse to all the nations of the Aretz." And the priests and the Nabi and all the people heard Yirmiyahu speaking these words in the house of Yahuwah. And it came to be, when Yirmiyahu had ended speaking all that Yahuwah had commanded him to speak to all the people, that the priests and the Nabi and all the people seized them. See, he wasn't very popular for speaking the truth. Okay, nobody clapped. Nobody said, "Oh, we love you, Yirmiyahu. Thank you very much." No, they did not say that, and they're not going to tell you that either. As a matter of fact, they're going to tell you you're full of it, and to get the you know what out of here. All right, they're going to reject you. Okay, if they're accepting of what you're saying, then there's something wrong. Because let me tell you something: the wicked one is ruling and reigning in their heart, and they will reject you. Okay, to listen to the words of my servants the Nabi, I am sending you, even rising up early and sending them, though they have not listened. Verse number 6. Then I shall make this house like Shiloh, and make this city a curse to all the nations of the Aretz. And the priests and the Nabi and all the people heard Yirmiyahu speaking these words in the house of Yahuwah. And it came to be, when Yirmiyahu had ended speaking all that Yahuwah had commanded him to speak to all the people, that they applauded and stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Know that the priests and the Nabi and all the people seized him, saying, "You shall certainly die. Why have you nebuah in the name of Yahuwah?"
Stop right there. It always says the house of Yahuwah, but right there he says, you're going to die because you're speaking in the name of Yahuwah.
Right. So they had a problem with the name of Yahuwah. This is nothing new. Just like today, they say, "Oh no, that's not his name. That's not his name," because they have a problem with that. You've been taught that his name is something else. We were taught, but you had the wherewithal to obey and to hear Yahuwah and to love his name and to lift his name up. But most people are not going to do that. Okay, when Yirmiyahu had ended speaking all that Yahuwah had commanded him to speak to all the people that the priest and Nabi and all the people seized him. Verse number 9. Why have you nebuah in the name of Yahuwah? So Yahushua was doing this too. Remember, Yahushua was speaking in the name of Yahuwah and calling on the Father's name, and they rejected him and they put him to death for it. That's what they put him to death. They put Yahuwah to the stake for speaking his own name. Okay, why? So it says this house shall be like Shiloh, and this city be dried up without an inhabitant, and all the people were gathered against Yirmeyahu, but all the people, all of them were gathered against Yirmeyahu in the house of Yahuwah.
All right, stop right there. So he's giving a word of experience, what happened in Shiloh, and he's saying he's going to happen again because you have backslid the same way they did over there. And it's going to happen again.
And they stomped they plugged their ears and stomped their feet and rushed them and seized them and picked them up and took them to go and kill them.
Yeah, and as the
just like they did to Stephen.
Continue, they put him in jail and everything else.
Yeah.
So now we're going to close by looking at some quick verses, which is baby verses. We're going to look at it back to 1 Samuel 6:21.
And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath Yearim, saying, the Philistines have brought back the ark of Yahuwah. Come down, take it up to you.
All right, just hold on to that understanding right there. Let's go to chapter 7, 1 and 2. It's the next verses of that chapter.
And it came to be from the day that the ark remained in Kiriath Yearim that the time increased. It came to be 20 years. All the house of Israel lamented after Yahuwah. Wow.
20 years. And they were in the house of ObedEdon. Let's look at this man briefly. His name is Nadab, which means father of generosity. That's what his name means.
But I'm at verse 7:1, and it says, the Melek David Yearim.
That's down, the one more sentence down.
Oh, Abinah. Okay, on the hill. I see it. Sorry.
And the one that was Kirjath Jearim, right, is basically, it's a city of forests, city of towns. Okay, that's what that area means. This where it was at. Okay, and Eleazar, Yah's helper. Eleazar is Yah's helper, the mighty helper. Okay, let's go to now go to 2 Samuel 6:2.
Says, and David rose up and went with all the people who were with him from Baali Yehuda to bring up from there the ark of Eloah, that is called by the name of Yahuwah Sevaot, who dwells between the Cherubim. And they placed the ark of Eloah on the new wagon and brought it from the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill, and Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinadab, were leading the new wagon. And
here's the thing, he's bringing it on a wagon.
Right.
You know, and that's not what they're supposed to be.
Right, they're supposed to carry it.
Yeah,
the
they're supposed
Kohanim
to carry it. Maybe, my mind thinking, maybe they thought that the Kohanim were not precious or set apart enough. Right. But they had to take it up and put it on the ark.
Maybe they haven't gone through their ritual, brother. Yeah. They have to go through a ritual cleansing before they carry it. I'm thinking that's what it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, keep reading.
It says, and they brought it from the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill with the ark of Eloah. And Ahio was walking before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel were dancing before Yahuwah with all the instruments of fir wood and with lyres and with harps, tambourines, sistrums, and with cymbals. And they came to the threshing floor of Nakon Uzzah, reached out toward the reached out toward the ark of Eloah and took hold of it, for the oxen stumbled. And the wrath of Yahuwah burned against Uzzah, and Eloah smote him there for the fault, and he died there by the ark of Eloah. David was displeased because Yahuwah had broken out against Uzzah, and he called the name of that place Peretz Uzzah until this day. And David was afraid of Yahuwah on that day and said, how shall the ark of Yahuwah come to me? And David would not move the ark of Yahuwah with him into the city of David, but David turned it aside to the house of ObedEdon the Gittite. And the house of Yahuwah remained in the house of ObedEdon the Gittite for 3 months. And Yahuwah barak Obed and all his house.
Okay, stop right there. Okay. So now he's there 3 months before he's going to end up, he's going to finally do it right. Put the poles on it and bring it. Because they didn't have the poles. They got stolen during the battle. And the Philistines took it to their camp, and then they got the hemorrhoids, and the women were bearing, and everybody got hemorrhoids, and they got rats, a bunch of large rats, which brings disease and hemorrhoids and barrenness. So let's look at the photograph here while we're looking at this verse, and we're going to look at it in the Hebrew, and the name ObedEdon, right, which means worker of Edom. He's a worker of Edom.
So Edom is, so this guy, so they came to the threshing floor of Nakon, and Uzzah reached out toward the ark of Eloah and took hold of it, because the oxen stumbled, and the wrath of Yahuwah burned against Uzzah, and Eloah smote him there for the fault, and he died there by the ark of Eloah. And David, it says David was displeased with Yahuwah because he had broken out against Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Peretz Uzzah until this day. I mean, look at this guy's name. I mean, his name, it literally says he's an Edomite. He's an Edomite.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you this right now. Remember that Yehuda, his first son Onan, and the second one and Onan, I think both were the names of the sons, were wicked, and Yahuwah put them to death, because Yehuda had went down to and took a wife from the Edomites. Okay, think about that, and then remember that his oldest son, Yahuwah takes him away, removes him from the earth, and the second one too. And Yehuda winds up being the father of Peretz and Etron, who are actually the daughter, the sons, that the woman who bare them was the daughter of his first son Onan. I mean, they're Edomites. I'm going to say they're Edomites.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're Palestinians, but they're from that land. They come from the lineage of Canaan, of Canaan.
The Canaan and the Philistine was there at that time. And now Uzzah that got struck, he's a Gittite. He was a Levi and a Gittite. He was a half-breed.
Yes, he was.
So even though he was a Levi, he was a half-breed.
Yeah.
And David didn't have things right. Putting it on a new cart and all that stuff. That was not the way to go. You've got to do it exactly like he's commanded. Let's go to chapter 6, verse 11 through 16. It's still 2 Samuel. Well,
okay, verse 11 through 16. And the ark of Yahuwah remained in the house of ObedEdon the Gittite for 3 months, and Yahuwah barak ObedEdon and all his house. And it was reported to sovereign David, saying, Yahuwah has barak the house of Edom and all that he has. because the ark of Eloah. David then went and brought up the ark of Eloah from the house of ObedEdon to the city of David with rejoicing. And it came to be when those bearing the ark of Yahuwah had gone 6 steps that he slaughtered bulls and fatted calves. So they would take 6 steps and stop and do an offering. And I guess they did this all the way to...
That's a lot of miles, a lot of offering, brother.
Yeah. And David danced before... That's a lot of dancing too. And David danced before Yahuwah with all his might. And David was wearing a linen shoulder garment. Thus David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of Yahuwah with shouting and with sound and with the sound of the ram's horn. Hallelujah.
No, so as you see here, you see where in the picture, so there's a debate, of course. People say, was he dressed like this, with a golden crown and a scepter and all that, going through the crowd? No. I'll tell you why. It's a nice image. I'll tell you why it wasn't like that. Because people that were not Levi Zadok could not stay so many feet from the ark.
Right.
They can't get near it, close.
Right.
They have to step aside or bow down. Now, this is a little more realistic. The people are separated. And of course, David's ex-wife, Dinah, she turns around and says, what are you doing dancing naked before the people? Are you showing your loins and your chest, your muscles, and dancing, making yourself look like a fool, and blah, blah, blah. And she stayed in the house barren from that day forward.
Right.
She ain't getting none, you know what I mean? So so there's an image here showing him dancing with his chonchons. And of course, this is another image that's partially, you can't get close. You can't get close to it, but it's a group shot. It's a selfie.
Right.
So.
Right. And all them people would have been with their face to the ground, I guarantee you.
He definitely face to the ground. Okay. So there's the walk. It was 20 years in one location, three months in another, and then finally David takes it to the city. And as you see here on this map, you can see where the Mount of Olives is, and then the dome where the Temple Mount is, okay, and Yerushalayim, and view from the high place of Gibeon. Okay, that's on the right side. You go to the other side, the high place of Gibeon of Yahuwah, Nabi Shemuel. Now you see it there, Gibeon, and you see the different locations, okay? Now I stayed with some friend in Samuel's vineyard. He had this vineyard, and what it is basically a big miles round wraparound bowl of hills, because grapes grow better in the hills. And then you make a walkway, and then you put stakes and grow your grape, and then you go to the next step up, about 3 steps up, grow a walkway and sticks and fences, so the vines can climb. And the reason they grow better in hills is because of the dew point, the water and the dew point of the hills and the moisture. And let's see, here's the photographs of the old city, the mount, and Gidron Valley, the city of David, the ancient walls. 6 steps sacrifice. 6 steps. I mean, brother, it doesn't say it. I don't know how far was his ObedEdom's house was, but even a mile and 6 steps. 2 miles, you're talking about days. There's a lot of work here and a lot of dancing and a lot of sacrifice to the Father. You know what I mean? And the Father seen it, honored it, and allowed it to go to the city of David. But did you notice when David, when he found out that this man, ObedEdom, was so prosperous, he said, oh, no, that's not going to happen. I got to have that. You know what I mean? I want the ark here. You know what I mean? And I think it provoked him to jealousy, to go out of the way. He got a little lazy for a few months while he was sitting there for 3 months and said, well, let's do it this way. And they didn't put it on a cart.
If I may say
Please.
something. So Yahuwah does everything in his time. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure, it doesn't say it, but I'm thinking that Yahuwah stopped him from bringing it up there by taking the life of that man who put his hand to stabilize the cart, because it was not time yet. So Yah does everything on the feast according to numbers of days, seasons, times, and it was not time yet. So then who knows when they started doing this? But this sounds to me like it was possibly when Yahushua came into Yerushalayim, was possibly the same time.
Hello.
Remember when they were laying
down the palm branches,
right? And what was the saying that they were saying?
Look at here in this picture. It shows them with palm branches.
Right. So I'm just thinking that David was wanting to bring that ark up there, but it wasn't time yet. And Yahuwah was like, okay, you know what? There's 2 more months before Shavuot or whatever feast it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be Shavuot, because look at this other picture with him dancing. They all got palm branches. Now these pictures are Yehudi pictures.
Yeah.
Except for this one right here that is using Christian work, the Ark of the Covenant. But it shows the palm branches. You're right, brother. So if you're going through a feast of weeks,
right,
or a feast of Shavuot, that's a lot of time to get the ark there.
40 days. Yeah, 40.
I wonder if you did the
50.
math, 6 paces, sacrifice 6 paces.
Right.
If it doesn't come to 39 or 40 days, 50 days.
Yeah. So all of that, these are the ancient paths. Yah does not say things. Yah does not speak an idle word. All of his word, it's all a picture. And so I'm thinking that when I read the word, I read it in the mindset. I pay attention to what he's saying when he starts talking about time, and he mentions 6 paces and then doing the sacrifice. So anytime that he starts talking about time and stuff like that, I pay attention to that. So I'm going to go back and study this.
We should go back just for fun and find out how many paces it takes.
Right.
Where we know where the location is of ObedEdom's house,
right,
and then we should find out what is his mileage.
Right.
From house to house. And then we'll give you a report on that next week. We're going to go ahead and get ready to close in prayer.